With 3 unmarried women searching for new love as we approach the November sweeps in a few weeks, Young and the Restless is a hot show. We'll discuss how Claire Grace Newman, Haley Aaron, Audra Charles Zulika Silver, and Phyllis Summers, Michelle Stafford, may soon be in love. 3 possible new romances are now in development, and by the time November sweeps begins on October 30th, they may all be beginning to take off. Let's start by discussing Phyllis. Since returning to Young and the Restless, Kane Ashby, Billy Flynn, has been harboring a torch for Lily Winters, Crystal Khalil, but she has a thing for him. Since he is finally realizing that he has no hope whatsoever of getting along with Lily, it appears that there may actually be some possibility for Phyllis and Kane at this point. Thus, even before it was revealed that Aristotle Dumas was Kane Ashby, Phyllis was obsessed with him. We are aware that Phyllis believed Dumas was the secret to securing a fantastic new life and profession, and proving to Genoa City how mistaken they were about her. Phyllis became flirtatious after learning that Dumas was Kane while she was in France. Since they returned to town, Phyllis's feelings for Kane have only gotten stronger. Phyllis is one of the persons closest to Kane and works for him, even though he has tried to get rid of her. He only recently began flirting with Phyllis again. Not so long ago, he invited her to supper. Given that they are both outcasts in the community and appear to be clicking, Kane and Phyllis are essentially each other's only love possibilities. Everyone will despise Kane and Phyllis even more if they carry out this AI strike on one or more of the legacy businesses. Additionally, according to a recent teaser for Young and the Restless, Phyllis finds love with an unexpected person. She is undoubtedly experiencing romance, and I am quite certain that it will involve Kane. Even though I've been anticipating this for some time, the authors of Y and R spoilers don't believe that viewers are that intelligent. Therefore, they most likely believe that no one is anticipating Phyllis and Kane to get together. So, for them, it might occur in October. Additionally, I believe that Fane would be a great smoosh name for them. Let's now discuss Audra. She made a valiant attempt to persuade Nate Hastings, seeing Dominic, to take her back, but he was astute enough to tell Audra, "Hell no." At last, she saw that Nate was too good for her, but who isn't? Michael Mealer's character, Nepo infant Kyle Abbott. Kyle lied, thus Claire broke up with him. And my goodness, Claire would double down on the dumping if she knew how close he was to dropping that towel and carrying out the act with Audra in France. Thus, Kyle and Audra despise one another and are both unmarried. Despite their current refusal to acknowledge it, we all know that Kyle and Audra are also attracted to one another. Shortly after he ended his relationship with Summer Newman, Allison Lanier, due to her mother's false death tales, Kyle slipped into Audra's covers. Additionally, there was a highly intense but unromantic flirtation between Kyle and Audra. It was never sentimental. After that, Audra had a great relationship with Nate Hastings, while Kyle fell in love with Claire. However, both Kyle and Audra have failed to maintain healthy relationships and are currently unmarried. Kyle will therefore make one final attempt to win Claire back. He intends to follow her all the way to Los Angeles. However, if he goes there, I can imagine Kyle being rejected severely by Claire, who might warn him that they will never be able to reconcile. And he is really upset when he returns to Genoa City. Naturally, Audra and Kyle blame one another for the breakdown of their relationships, and their conflict is getting worse very quickly. However, we are all aware that, particularly in soap operas, the distinction between love and hate is extremely hazy. Additionally, I believe they will cross it. And soon, Audra and Kyle will be sharing a bed again. It won't be romance and flowers, of course. Not initially, anyhow. It would be hate sex, in my opinion, but I could see Audra and Kyle gradually developing true feelings for one another, and the revenge rebound would give way to a true romance. There is potential there, in my opinion. Claire is the final beautiful woman I wish to discuss. Since Holden Novak, Nathan Owens, first met her on Young and the Restless, she has been on our radar as a potential new love interest. I just got a feeling that something might be there. When they first shared Vespers, Holden's crush on Claire has been intensifying ever since he first spotted her at the GCAC bar. Now, Claire was still completely smitten with Kyle when she and Holden first met. Additionally, We have seen Holden's obsession with Audra change after he met Claire. Additionally, Holden has turned his focus from Audra to her. Holden and Claire have thus gradually developed a true friendship. After Claire lost her father, Cole Howard, J. Eddie Peck, they became more closer. Since Kyle was away in France playing dirty games with Audra when he should have been at home with his mourning girlfriend, Holden was actually the one who was there for Claire to lean on, and was consoling her while her father was ill and dying. And it was obvious that Holden was attracted to Claire at that time. Thus, he had lost interest in Audra. Holden is actually adamant about keeping Claire safe from Audra. Holden was fortunate though, as we witnessed Kyle and Claire's romance blossom. She is currently accompanying Holden to Los Angeles. Additionally, while Claire and Holden are away in Los Angeles, I believe that things are going to get sexy. I assume Claire would like to try a new romance and another partner, because we know she wants to try new things and try more things in life. After Kyle, who was attempting to get engaged to her, pushed Claire to move in and get married, I'm not sure if she wants to fall head over heels in love again so quickly. Therefore, I don't believe that's what she's seeking for at the time, but I do believe that Holden is completely prepared for anything Claire is willing to offer. Given that Kyle intends to visit LA and make what he believes to be a huge, extravagant gesture, I have a feeling that Claire and Holden will be dating soon long. Claire keeps saying, "Give me a moment," but he doesn't listen. Give me a moment to breathe. If Claire has too long to think, she'll realize that she doesn't love him. He has informed his parents. If that's the case, Kyle should back off because she doesn't truly love him. However, I do believe that he will most likely follow her to California, which could drive Claire further closer to Holden than she initially thought. Watch as the groundwork for these 3 new romances continues to be laid until the end of this month, when the November sweeps begin, at which point we ought to start seeing some momentum. As usual, the writers of The Young and the Restless are using every tactic in the book to keep viewers riveted to their televisions as Sweeps Month returns to Genoa City. The bundle includes dramatic family disclosures, startling business decisions, and explosive confrontations. However, the romantic arcs simmering beneath the surface are where the real heat is this time. Phyllis Summers, Audra Charles, and Claire Grace are the 3 women occupying the center stage, each poised to ignite a new romance that will ignite Genoa City. The fact that these 3 storylines are about risk-taking, emancipation, and reinvention, rather than merely love, is what makes them so captivating. Let's examine how each woman's story might unfold during Sweeps by delving into her path. The risky game of love is nothing new to Phyllis Summers. She has taken more risks at romance than most people would in a lifetime, danced with Jack Abbott, and sparred with Nick Newman. However, Phyllis is a survivor as well. Phyllis is yearning for stability with a spark, something she hasn't experienced in years. After the turmoil of her previous schemes, faking her own death and attempting to regain reputation. But the most unlikely of places could be the source of that spark. There are rumors circulating that Phyllis might end up re-engaging with Nick Newman, her longtime partner, and the father of her daughter, Summer. With his emotions caught in the tug-of-war between Sharon Rosales and Sally Spectra, Nick has been struggling romantically. What if Phyllis takes advantage of the opportunity to reignite old passions? There would be fireworks if Phyllis and Nick reunited during Sweeps, not only because of their chemistry, but also because of the impact it would have. Summer would have strong feelings about her parents trying again, and Sharon would scowl at the inconvenience. Additionally, Sally would feel deceived if Nick returned to Phyllis's sphere of influence, as she is already juggling Adam and Nick's complicated past. Even more audacious is Phyllis' alternative, a romantic relationship with Tucker McCall. Both have a propensity for self-destruction, are cunning, and like the rush of taking risks. If these 2 become lovers instead of adversaries, just think of the mayhem. Diane would silently rejoice at Phyllis being preoccupied with someone else. Ashley would be appalled, and Jack would go crazy. Phyllis' relationship arc is beautiful because it is unpredictable. Phyllis is headed for a combustible plot that might either save her or send her back on a downward spiral, regardless of whether she chooses the safer option, Nick, or the more volatile one, Tucker. Audra Charles is the embodiment of passion through ambition, if Phyllis is the embodiment of passion through history. Audra has made it apparent that she desires influence, status, and power ever since she entered Genoa City. She is shrewd, cunning, and not hesitant to exploit her intelligence and good looks to achieve her goals. One of the sexiest hookups in recent memory has been her relationship with Kyle Abbott. Will it last, though? Sweeps is the ideal moment for the authors to transform their brief affair into a serious romance or a disastrous collapse. Still in shock from losing Summer, Kyle discovers a joy in Audra that he has never experienced before. But is it a simple act of defiance against the hurt of his failed marriage? Or is it true love? The calculus is different for Audra. Although Kyle's Abbott name gives him authority and stability in Genoa City, his family history makes him a liability. In fact, Nate Hastings might be the source of Audra's romantic tension. Freshly damaged from his conflict with Victoria Newman, Nate is trying to find a new direction. Since Audra shares his goals, their relationship would exude refinement and peril. They might end up being the power duo Genoa City didn't anticipate. But would it be a partnership of want and ambition, or would it be love? Imagine Kyle pleading for more commitment just as Nate begins to express interest. Sweeps might also force Audra into an unexpected triangle. Juggling two strong guys while covertly choosing who gives her the best chance for long-term success would be Audra's specialty. There's always the chance that Audra will completely change the path and realize she can succeed without a man. In such scenario, her romance may not even be with a person, but rather with power, which she uses to entice Genoa City. Claire Grace, the most recent and intricate addition to the canvas, is arguably the most fascinating of the three. Claire's quest for atonement in Genoa City, her tangled past, and her Aunt Jordan's manipulation have all cast a shadow on her journey. For Claire, romance is about healing as much as passion. The authors have the ideal opportunity to add a more tender romantic element to Claire's story through Sweeps. She deserves an opportunity at something pure after months of mistrust and darkness. However, who could be able to aid in her recovery? Johnny Abbott is one such candidate. Johnny, despite his youth,